Hello, I'm Christabel,
And I'm Yazmin.
and we're going to share with you some of the barcode inventory system we worked on for the Center for Regenerative Agriculture and Resilient Systems. I wanted to start out with sharing a little bit of background on where we were working at. So the Center for Regenerative Agriculture and Resilient Systems, from here forward we'll call it CRARS, is a center on campus that runs two labs that work together to perform analysis on soil and crop samples. In this picture to the left, you can see the soil processing area, which is located at the university farm. It's called the SPA for short, and it's the lab where the soil is sorted by size, tested for aggregate stability, and vialed and bagged for testing. And then you can see in the above picture that was taken at the Regenerative Agriculture Demonstration Lab, also called the RAD Lab. This is the second destination that soils go to when they're being processed by cars. And here they go through a variety of tests, including testing the pH level of the soil as well as the carbon and nitrogen percentage.
And so to begin with, the center works with soil samples from all over of Northern California and Central California. And as of now, they were using Excel to track all of their data once they received it back from all the test analysis. And something they wanted to change was they want to be able to track each individual soil sample in case they needed to find something out about it. Something else they wanted to do were to identify any patterns or trends depending on certain characteristics like treatment, soil depth, and then along with their summary statistics. And so here is a picture of how a current Excel sheets looks for their data.
So previous to us working on this project, there was a lot of work done by a previous intern named Matt Salone. And he created a process for tracking the samples through various stages of their testing at the RAD lab. And he did his work in R, and he created a system that took responses from a Google Sheet that would be filled out by employees as they were working on the samples, and then pulled into R to generate a report on where the samples were at in the process and how long it was taking them to be processed. So here you can see he created a little diagram of how his system works. And then to the right, you can see some of the reports that he was able to generate. The, his program was a prototype, so he was using mock data to see how this could work. But at the time, the center didn't have a system for actually creating the barcodes and scanning them in.
And so during our time with the center, we were able to get a few things done. So one of the first things we did was to create a Google form, which would kind of like create or make sure that the sample is in the system to begin with. And after that, we recreated the one that Matt had initially made so that we can keep track of the samples and where they're at any given step.
And then another thing we worked on was figuring out a way to generate the barcodes with names that would make sense to lab members and be able to print them sequentially all at once and uncollated. Basically, what that means is that we needed to have a consistent way of creating a unique identifier for each sample that we could print into a barcode. And so some of the considerations are there's lots of different kinds of barcodes, and they can take different formatting for like whether they take letters and numbers and spaces and that kind of thing. So that was part of what we had to figure out. And then Yazmin, you want to tell them how you got the actually created the system to generate them?
Yeah, so initially we thought that this was going to be one of the easiest things on our list to do, which is generate the barcodes. So first we were just going to be going on a website that generates free barcodes, entering in our what we wanted our barcode to say, like what, yeah, say, I guess. But we then realized that we weren't going to be able to create them sequentially and print them sequentially as well. If we were going to be using the free website, our only option was to create each of those barcodes one at a time. And for this process, that would just be like really time consuming. It wasn't beneficial for us. So we figured out how to do this on Google Excel using formulas. And basically, you just, I believe, get a link of the image URL to a certain barcode and then insert in what we want the barcode to say at a certain point. And then after that, you just keep on copying that formula and you're able to have them come out sequentially.
Yeah, so that was in that what we called like the barcode generating sheet. We were able to keep track of what barcodes have been used and make new ones as needed. Um, and yeah, do you want
Yeah, and then something else that we made sure to do was document our whole process from the very beginning. One of the first things we did was we identified all our obstacles that we had. For example, like the obstacles that we had with creating the barcodes, we have a whole kind of like how to, just because I know it might seem simple, but it's something that not everyone knows how to do. And then other problems. I can't think of any other problems right now, but there definitely were other obstacles. So we just like made sure we identified them and how we were able to continue through with them.
yeah, yeah,
That way future interns can pick up where we left off and continue with this process.
yeah. Another obstacle that we worked on was how to connect our scanners with our tablets and get the tablets set up so that they could be used to fill out the Google form. Um, so right now we have one scanner and it's connected by wires. So we had to get adapters for it. And um, we realized that you may or may not know this, but a barcode scanner is like a keyboard or a mouse in the sense that it's an input to your device. Um, and it's used to input data. So what happened with this process is that when we would plug in a scanner, we could no longer use the keyboard on the tablet. So this led us to make some edits to our form so that everything in the form was either drop down or was entered via the scanner. Yeah, so those are some of the things we worked on.
And then right before you move on, here on the right side, we have a picture of one of the soil samples. So those letters that you see right there is how they were identified before. So they have their unique identifier up on the top, followed by, I believe, soil depth, right?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, and then you see there the barcode that it has now. It's like CSPS, so that's probably like the field name where it came from, along with some numbers after it.
Mm-hmm. So, some future work that needs to be done on this project or could be done to benefit the center. One thing is that the code that Matt wrote in R can now be used to track the progress of real samples because the staff at the center are implementing the barcodes actively. So those samples have real timestamps that his code can interpret into those reports we showed you earlier.
And then just with the system that we're continuing with the barcodes, it's going to be a lot easier for the lab members to be able to keep track of the soil samples, which means less missing values and a lot more consistent with their data. So that would probably mean more accurate summary statistics, graphs, trends, and things like that.
Yeah, kind of along those same lines. Now that the center is on their way to having this cleaner set of data with the help of the barcode inventory system, the center can create our projects to generate reports that are more useful to them, such as visuals for their statistics and analysis on their data. So we are going to show you a little video just to give a visual of our barcode generating and print. So what we're going to show you here is a little bit of our barcode printing and generating process. This is our Excel sheet that generates our barcodes. And you may or may not be able to read it, but you're going to see all the barcodes for the employees and the different stations that they scan samples in and out of are on the right side in those short lists. And then that big long list on the other side is all of the soil IDs that have been generated so far. So here we're selecting all of the IDs that we would like to print. And this stage actually took a lot of development. It's not super clear from this video, but there's basically every setting that there is an option to customize on Excel print page is customized. So that's another reason why it was super important for us to do that documentation, was because we and how would you describe it?
I was just gonna say that there was a lot of trial and error for when we first printed these. Like, we needed to make sure that the margin size were correct so that it was centered and be able to be read by the barcode scanner, and then just like whether we wanted them uncollated or collated.
Yeah. Yeah, so all of that was trial and error, and now there's a very specific way that these are printed, and that's why we documented it. So we're just checking the settings and hitting print.
And so this video here just shows the actual barcodes being printed all at once. And then during this process, or the certain barcodes, we printed them all just one from each project, but for each project, we are going to have to be printing about, I don't remember if it was like anywhere from 6 to 8 or 6 to 10, just because each soil sample starts off from one big bag and then is then transferred over to other bags depending on their aggregate size.
Yeah.
The aggregate size, and then put into vials and tubes for each test. And so each of those vials and tubes are going to also need their own barcode.
Yeah. So here we're going to show what it looks like to fill out the Google form with the scanner and put samples into a specific station that they are about to get processed in. So here she's selected the field that it needs to be scanned into for the soil ID and scanned the sample. Then she's going to scan who is inputting the sample, which employee, and then what station is it going to be processed in. And those are all different fields in the Google form. Then whenever she's done, she can select a new form, and you can see those directly populated that Excel sheet.
And then this last video right here shows the vials separated and just the station of one of the tests that the soil samples go through. And as you can see, they all already have their each unique barcode, which identifies them.